has reached epidemic proportions in America. I'm Dr. Paul Christo. This is Aches and Gains.
Dr. Paul Christo is one of America's leading experts on relieving pain. He's board-certified, Harvard-trained, and a pain medicine specialist at Johns Hopkins. U.S. News & World Report ranks him as a top doctor and among the top 1% in the nation for pain management. Becker's Review selected him as one of the 70 best pain management physicians in America. He's listed as a super doctor for the Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Northern Virginia area. Aches and Gains is a weekly talk show covering all aspects of pain and pain relief. The human impact is real. Older adults, children, and even infants struggle to cope with pain. But there's hope, and there are treatments that can ease pain and suffering. The show offers compelling stories about people who've found relief. We share cutting-edge treatments from contributing experts, and we offer ways to help people cope with their pain.
Welcome to the show. Many dream of playing Major League Baseball. Our guest today, Johnny Bench, lived that dream as the catcher for the Cincinnati Reds. In his career, he was awarded Rookie of the Year and Most Valuable Player twice, and was elected to the National Baseball Hall of Fame. What you might not know, though, is that Johnny suffers from arthritis in places like the elbow, shoulder, and fingers. The arthritis was so bad that he needed not one, but 2 hip replacements. He's here to tell us how he's moved beyond a world of terrible pain that once restricted his whole life. And during the show, we'll learn about Johnny's experience with emu oil. This oil is extracted from an Australian bird called the emu, which is related to the ostrich. Early Australian settlers used the oil topically to help wounds heal, reduce pain, and treat inflamed joints. Today, it's available worldwide for relief of inflammatory arthritic pain, as well as conditions like dermatitis, eczema, and psoriasis.
Aches and Gains is supported by Medtronic, Purdue Pharma, Teva Pharmaceuticals, Millennium Laboratories, Atlantis Health Group, and Depot Med Incorporated. For live online listening to Aches and Gains, please go to paulchristomd.com. To access podcasts of the show, please go to paulchristomd.com. If you have any questions or comments for Dr. Christo, please email him at achesandgains@gmail.com.
In addition to his notable baseball achievements, Johnny Bench supports the Cincinnati community along with many worthy national causes. He's a sports broadcaster, a corporate spokesman, and a motivational speaker. Johnny, welcome to Aches and Gains.
Well, I should be on, and thanks for having me.
Listen, in addition to your many awards, another notable achievement was setting an endurance record of catching over 100 games during 13 consecutive seasons. Somebody once estimated that this amounted to squatting behind the plate more than 400,000 times. Tell us, when did your pain actually begin?
At 18 years of age, a drunk driver on the wrong side of a 4-lane highway. I was going 70 miles an hour, the speed limit. I pulled out to pass the truck. There was the drunk driver.
Wow.
I hit my brakes, went right. He hit me right in the door. The doctor at the hospital said, I have no idea why you're in one piece except you have the largest bones I've ever seen. You have had a lot of trauma. And trauma and in these joints and at some point will lead to arthritis.
Yeah.
With your profession, you should expect to have it in almost all joints. And when I saw the doctor for the physical with the Reds, he said, man, I'd love to see you in about 25 years. And,
Right.
Because of the squatting, the ankles, the knees, the back, and the arms, and the shoulders, and everything that goes with it, it was just sort of a given that Johnny Bench was going to have some form of arthritis.
And in fact, how do you feel specifically that your career in baseball led to further arthritic pain?
I really kind of anticipated. My hands would be sore from foul tips, joints were being hammered, contact with baseballs, collisions at the plate.
Yeah.
So you go to spring training, you'd squat for 45 minutes every day to warm up the pitchers. So with the back and all the things, just the stress, I was the last one to get it off the plane, even at 20 years old, because I had to straighten up, and it took a little while.
Yeah.
I have basically had a form of it since I was probably in my early 30s, and it's sort of at 35 years of age, the shoulder hurt, the ulnar nerve hurt, the back hurt, and that was one thing that made my decision to retire an almost given.
It certainly sounds like pain was a predominant factor in your decision to retire. And in fact, what are you doing today?
I do a lot of motivational speaking. I have a thing called the Vowels of Success, the AEIOUs of life.
Uh-huh.
And I go in and I talk about growing up in a town of 661 people, graduating class of 21, going to the minor league, signing at 17, being in the major leagues at 19. And I talk about people who, what their goals are and how they set their goals. And are they willing to make an effort to change? Are they willing to work hard?
Yeah.
And I say there is no eyes in team, but I think it's all eyes. I think you have to have the best individuals at each position. You're looking for success, and the only thing to do that is apply yourself in the best manner.
Absolutely, I agree. And Johnny, is most of your pain located in your back and your shoulder, or what about your hips?
It's always been my lower back. Yeah, I think that the collision and everything else, which led to hip joint problems, and I've had both hips replaced. It's life-altering. It's just absolutely made life so good. We really do just consciously eat better, and I think that helps as well. So it keeps me active, and I still can play a little golf, and I suffer from disc problems in my back. I've got a C7 problems that affects my ulnar nerve, which makes the right two fingers, the pinky and ring finger of my hand numb. So those things are trying to be addressed as well. But, growing old is mandatory. Growing up is optional. So I'm at a point where I'm aching, but I'm in great shape.
That's good to hear. We have to break, and when we come back, we'll talk to Johnny about how bad the pain actually got. I'm Dr. Paul Christo, and you're listening to Aches and Gains.
Aches and Gains is supported by Medtronic, the global leader in medical technology, alleviating pain, restoring health, and extending life for millions of people around the world. Teva, a leading global pharmaceutical company committed to increasing access to high-quality health care by developing, producing, and marketing affordable generic medicines, as well as innovative and specialty pharmaceuticals. Millennium Laboratories, a leader in the science of toxicology and pharmacogenetics, is transforming the way healthcare professionals monitor and manage their patients' medication therapy. Through the use of advanced technology supported by research and education, Millennium helps practitioners personalize care for patients. For more information, please visit www.millenniumlabs.com.
Welcome back to the show. We're here with Johnny Bench, Hall of Fame catcher, who's sharing his story of how he's overcome pretty severe arthritic pain. Johnny, how bad was the pain, and how did it impair your life? What did it prevent you from doing?
Walk, move, golf, almost all activities. I mean, when I would go to the airport, I would actually look for that shuttle to try to get a ride down to the baggage claim.
Yeah.
I mean, the pain was so severe, and it happened in the groin and went down to the knee, and I couldn't sleep at night. I couldn't do much of anything. I mean, it was just so painful that I would get into sleep, and then the REM movement would happen, and I would turn over, and I'd sit straight up in bed, and it just made life totally miserable.
Yeah, no, I mean, I have patients exactly like that. Johnny, what were some of the ways you tried at first to deal with the pain?
Well, I love, again, using any kind of chiropractic or myofascial or anything, and I really was not a medication guy. I've never really been totally into that. I would take some over-the-counter stuff, but I really, I'd lived with pain, I guess, all my life as a catcher, and so I just lived with it. And then it got so bad that I happened to run into a orthopedic doctor friend of mine. He said, "John, how you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm good. How are you?" And he said, "Well, I'm fine, but your hip's gone." Seeing me move, and so he said, "Well, you're not going to live like this anymore." So in 2004, I went in, and it was just amazing. 80 to 90% of my back pain actually went away.
Wow.
Because it straightened me up, and so the spine was more vertical.
Right.
And so as a result, I was not having the stress of leaning and favoring so much. And then he said, the other one's going to go. It might be a couple of years. Well, it turned out to be 6 years. Josh was born at that time.
Okay.
I was carrying him down the hallway and almost collapsed, and I called him. I said, "It's time."
Wow. Certainly joint replacements like yours can be life-altering. And how did it alter your life?
I don't run. I don't do a bunch of stuff. I'm really careful with it and everything else. But to give one just a change of life,
right,
and the ability to every day, carry the 4-year-old, even pick up the 7-year-old. And I was pitching my son last year in the league, and it isn't pretty. I kind of look robotic sometimes when I'm moving, but I never had that flexibility. So it didn't really matter. The pain was gone.
That's terrific. Joint replacements can be pretty tough sometimes. How was your recovery?
I came back from surgery. An hour after I got back to my room, I walked to the door and back without anything. 2 hours later, I walked around the hall. I walked around it 3 times. I climbed steps the next morning, and I went home.
Wow. I mean, that really is incredible. Johnny, what types of medicines over the counter did you try that you found most successful and helpful to treat your pain?
Well, I started with the Vioxx, and the Vioxx I thought gave me more relief than the Celebrex. I thought Celebrex was a little bit more muscular. The Vioxx was more for the joints. And, of course, then some guys started using it who had bad hearts, and then it got a bad rap, and then they took it off the market.
Right.
So I would take the Advil or the Aleve. It's sometimes important to try a couple of different pain medications because your body may react to it differently.
Yeah, that's very true, especially with the opioids, for example. I have several patients who benefit from steroid injections into their knees, their shoulders, or their hips. Did you have any injections into the joints, and were they beneficial?
Well, I've had one injection in my knee, not counting when I got ran over at home plate and it tore up the AC joint.
Wow.
The cartilage was damaged so bad that I had 6 cortisone shots every 3 weeks just to finish the year.
Wow.
And then I had the AC joint repaired and the cartilage taken out.
Uh-huh.
And that was back in 1975.
Johnny, that was virtually 40 years ago. Have you had any problems in that knee since?
I had one little problem with the knee, and it was probably the cartilage a little bit. I had an injection. I have not had. That's been 3 years ago.
That's a long time. I mean, you had great extended relief from the steroid injection to your knee. When we come back from the break, we'll talk to Johnny about what he's done to maintain flexibility and agility in his hips. I'm Dr. Paul Christo, and you're listening to Aches and Gains.
Aches and Gains is supported by Purdue Pharma, making a positive impact on healthcare and on lives, reminding everyone to safeguard medications in their home. Atlantis Health Group. Atlantis is a comprehensive multi-specialty physician group committed to enhancing the quality and process of healthcare delivery across the country. Visit AtlantisHG.com.
Welcome back to the show. Johnny, tell us how you've maintained such good flexibility, agility, and mobility of your hip joints following hip replacements.
We age because muscles quit growing. And so we want those muscles to be strong. And I always recommend the pool work, because if you get into a pool about waist deep and you do side to sides, those muscles, because of only the resistances, which is about 1/5 of what you do standing outside the pool, you're going to have the resistance and still have the buoyancy to keep you active. Mm-hmm. Now, at that time, then I get the noodles or a weight or a float belt, and I get into the deep end, mm-hmm. and I kick, and I just go around, and I move all my arms, all my extremities to develop muscles. And I don't know if I can say this, Paul, but one little trick I had was I kept a margarita at the end of the pool, and I would circle the pool, and I would get to have another drink. Now, it's amazing what an incentive that can be to keep you actually out there, of course, exercising,
right.
as we call
right.
it. And if your wife will refill it, you will be out there for a really long time. Now, you may need some assistance getting out of the pool, but that's something you have to deal with.
You're right. That's wonderful. Absolutely. I think you made some great points about the importance of conditioning and strengthening the muscles of your body to support the joints. You've been using Emu oil for about 10 years in the form of BLUE-EMU, and in fact, you're a spokesperson for the company. Tell us a little bit about how you found this dietary supplement and topical pain reliever.
I used it, and then somehow I met the owner, and we got to talking. He said, I said, well, I have arthritis. He would send me product from time to time, mm-hmm. and he called me, and he said, you still using it? And I said, yeah, 10 years. And now I got my wife using it, because she's a runner. She runs 4 to 6 miles a day. She does Pilates 3 times a week. She does hot yoga now 4 days a week, and she goes to the gym 5 days a week for a 30-minute workout program.
Wow.
Her knees were bothering her, and she had some injections. And then I said, why don't you start with a little more on your knees? And mm-hmm. so now I go in, and every night she's putting it on. She puts it on in the mornings. And so it just became such a natural thing for us to say, we do use it. What I know how I know it works is even better is that I give it to a lot of my friends, and they come back to me and says, wow, I can't believe this. This is really feels better.
Mm-hmm. The emu oil is extracted from the fat of an Australian bird called the emu, which is related to the ostrich. It's felt that specific fatty acids in the emu oil may have anti-inflammatory properties, or that other components of the emu oil could combine with these fatty acids to produce the beneficial effect. And these other components or compounds are thought to be antioxidants, things like carotenoids or flavones or polyphenols. And Johnny, where do you specifically use the emu oil?
I'm mostly a shoulder guy. My knees aren't really a problem.
Uh-huh.
I put it on my lower back because I get great relief from that when I'm stiff, if I've hit balls or I played the day before, or I'm going out to play. And then now with the new spray, like this morning, I just woke up, took off my pajama top and sprayed my shoulders. And it was just 2 minutes later, seemed like that it was all of a sudden now that ache was gone. In fact, a good friend of mine, the singer Bobby Goldsboro, we went to breakfast this morning because we're doing this event together tonight. And my thumb, I just this, I played the guitar, I did this. He's a painter, he's an artist, he's a computer guy, he does see it. And he said, my thumb is killing me. So I was with him last night at an event, so I gave him some spray. I said, spray it on your thumb. And we walked around the house, and he had some stuff for the kids. And he started to go away, and he said, you know what? My thumb feels better already.
Wow, it sounds very helpful. What we do know is that in addition to its presumed anti-inflammatory properties, and it's presumed because the mechanism is not yet fully understood, that the emu oil does permeate the skin very well, and that facilitates the transdermal delivery of other medications. The emu oil is also a low health hazard because it's readily metabolizable. And the product you're using, BLUE-EMU, also contains glucosamine and MSM and aloe vera. MSM is also known as methylsulfone. That has been studied in humans with osteoarthritis of the knee specifically, and it's been found to be useful, but we're not yet sure how useful it can be. And Johnny, is the BLUE-EMU a cream or an oil?
It's a cream. It's cream. It was like you'd be opening up a bottle of hand lotion. It's blue. You just rub it onto the area. It goes into the skin. And, of course, our motto is, you don't stink. So there's no odor to it,
right.
And there's just a lot of relief.
I'm glad to hear that. We'll be right back to find out just how effective BLUE-EMU has been for Johnny Bench. I'm Dr. Paul Christo, and this is Aches and Gains.
Aches and Gains is supported by DepotMed Incorporated, a specialty pharmaceutical company focused on developing and commercializing products to treat pain and other central nervous system conditions. To access podcasts of the show, please go to paulchristomd.com. That's paulchristomd.com. Follow us on Twitter at drpaulchristo and like us on Facebook, Aches and Gains.
Welcome back. Johnny, how beneficial has BLUE-EMU been for you?
I'd probably give it, for me, it was 100% this morning on my shoulder.
Wow.
Can it heal? No. You mentioned that glucosamine that's in there. All of that is part of what we want to make sure as a product has all sorts of ingredients that may attack any area that is causing that pain and give relief.
Okay. And Johnny, how much does it improve your mobility and flexibility?
About 100%, truthfully. Truthfully. My wife, when she gets up and runs in the morning, when she goes to bed at night, she's out running about 5:20, 5:30 every morning.
And where does she put it?
On her knees. On her knees. She's always been just more of a knee person. Because that's where the pain is.
Yeah.
She never has any other pain anywhere else. I guess I could have made her play catch a little more. But every now and then I will see her on her lower back. I'm putting it on everything because it's not anything you're putting into your mouth or taking into your organs or anything else. This is going right to the muscle and right to the joint. So that's what makes this so good.
Yeah, there are definite advantages to the topical application of medications. Johnny, you're using BLUE-EMU quite effectively then to help reduce the pain in your shoulder and your low back. Anywhere else?
Oh, elbow, my thumb. I put it on my thumb again this morning. As you can imagine, you squatted 400,000 times, so you were catching a heck of a number of baseballs.
Yeah.
So you're catching an average of about 200. So every time you squatted, you were actually catching a ball or in that position. So between the foul balls, I broke the thumb twice, so I've got pain from that.
Yeah.
I've got hit on the end of the finger, so I've got a knuckle that doesn't quite straighten all the way out, but I've gotten relief. So I actually put it on my palm a lot of times for the ligaments. So I try to relax the ligaments so that the hands and that joints are. Sometimes the ligaments tighten up in the hand, and actually you have less mobility with your fingers.
Yeah. Do you also have pain in the hips at all after your hip replacements?
I have no pain in my hips. I really don't. I mean, that's what technology has done. And it is performance enhancing. I got to tell you, it is absolutely. They can talk about all the performance enhancing they want, but this really gives me a chance to be active and everything else. So I had 17 broken bones. I broke 6 bones in each foot.
Wow.
I put it on my feet if necessary.
Yeah.
And I've got, the surgeries, the shoulder surgery, the lung surgery, the hip surgeries. But there's everybody every day that, golfers that, go out and want to play golf, and they're playing on a high level. So does it really work? Yes, it really works.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly sounds like it. How long does it, you mentioned earlier that it takes about 2 minutes before you experience relief after you apply the Emu oil, but about how long do the beneficial effects last?
Well, I put it on at 7:15 this morning, and I'm just holding my shoulder up here right now with a full range of motion. And I don't have...
Okay, so from 7:15, and it's about 11:30 now, so about 4 hours then. Do you have any side effects, Johnny, from the BLUE-EMU?
No.
Okay. Are you taking anything else to ease your arthritic pain?
I might take a couple of Advil or a couple of Aleve, depending on what's available in the medicine cabinet.
Okay, so not much, really. I have some patients whom I've seen after surgery for cancer, and they report that they use Emu oil on their wounds, and it's actually speeded wound healing.
Well, we have a thing called the Johnny Bench Award, which is the college catcher of the year, and one of our big sponsors, Tim Daniel, his wife had a mastectomy. And so he just had it, and I go out to Wichita for the award, and he says, you know what? I had no idea, but they put it on the Emu oil on the radiation burn and on the chain. I said, seriously? He says, yeah. So, I mean, when you start talking about the amazing thing that it actually helps radiation burn and for cancer treatments like you're talking about, I just don't think anybody could ever say that how could something that good that can help so many people in times with the radiation, which would probably be as bad a thing as you had to do, wouldn't it? I mean, close to it, that it would help that. Then I have to know how pure and how effective it is.
Yeah, I think there's definite potential for Emu oil. In fact, there was a study done that reported that 100% Emu oil improved damaged skin in children who had 2nd and 3rd degree burn injuries that were caused by hot water and fire. And in fact, I feel like once we better understand the mechanism of action of Emu oil in animal studies of things like joint inflammation, arthritis, for example, and even bowel inflammation, things like colitis and irritable bowel syndrome, we can conduct even more human trials to establish and verify its benefit. Johnny, do you have as much relief today as you did several years ago when you started using Emu oil?
I've not noticed that at all. I get relief, and that's all I'm looking for. Right now, for the past 2 to 3 years, I really have found just relief, and I haven't gone in and said, okay, did you change anything or everything? Because I was getting the same amount of relief from that time until now.
That's good. It looks like a container of BLUE-EMU costs around $12. And I'm wondering, how long does a container actually last you?
It's in Walgreens, CVS, it's in Walmart, and hopefully will be expanded throughout. It's but a tube lasts me, I'm not slathering it on, I'm using it into a small, I take it with my fingertip, I rub it into the area.
Yeah.
My wife does the same thing. $1 a day for pain relief, and that would be more than probably, mine would last probably 2 to 3 months.
And before we close, is there hope for those suffering from severe arthritis or other painful conditions?
Are you willing to change? Are you willing to exercise? Are you willing to change your diet? And are you willing to maybe live with a little pain? Okay, fine. If it comes to the point where you need right now a knee replacement, a hip replacement, they have ankles, they have shoulders now, and you do not have to live with pain.
Right.
You don't have to live with it. Tell your doctor you're ready to, I can't live like this anymore, and he'll schedule something that will make your life change.
I think that's a great message. You don't have to live with pain. And in fact, we've done many shows here on Aches and Gains that have highlighted the beneficial effects of both traditional therapies and non-traditional therapies, like complementary therapies, for pain control. And Johnny, I want to thank you so much for joining us today on Aches and Gains.
My pleasure, Paul. Thank you so much.
The views and opinions expressed in this radio program are solely the views of Dr. Paul Christo. and do not necessarily express the views of this radio station and Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine, nor an endorsement by any or all of them of any of its content. This show provides medical information, not advice. Please consult your personal physician before engaging in any course of treatment or use of any of the techniques or products